there's a lot to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about all of it. You guys can learn more about this in tomorrow's program, okay? It's a free coaching program, exclamation point free coaching. You can learn more about some of this tomorrow. But there's so much information here, I would never be able to even do it in that big of a session, let alone in this stream. But let's talk about the major things that go wrong here. When you become a hard suck, when you have struggles to improve, okay? You are person number one, okay? And for this context, we are going to watch this round, everybody. Everybody here, we're going to watch this round together. We're going to watch it from this point on, okay? Let's watch what this player does. Okay? So they clear right. They're kind of crosshairs all over the place, and they die to the left here. Let's take one more look. Chat, I want you guys all to comment what went wrong here. And then I'm going to tell you what a coach would say. And then I'm going to tell you what you actually need to hear. Any answers in chat? I got a little bit of a delay, so it might take a second. Didn't have gun out. Didn't properly clear. Pushing without team. By himself, looking where his team is. Doesn't have an idea where the enemy is, okay? Phoenix is baiting report. True. Okay, guys, here's the thing, though. Guys, here's the thing. Let's take one of your guys' examples right now and let's roll with it, okay? So, let's say I'm Fluff. You said pushing without team. Sleepy. You said didn't properly clear. Okay, here's the problem. Is that those are not actionable steps of improvement that you can take, right? So we just watched a clip. And for this sake, all of you guys could have made this mistake. And these are the natural things that you would have learned from it. Everything that you're putting in chat right now, that's what you would have gotten from this round. But the problem is, none of this stuff is actionable. None of this stuff is going to make you better, right? Like, okay, so pushing without team, what does that mean? Does that mean, because we're in Clo Vault here, right? Does that mean we shouldn't Clo Vault, right? And then if we take somebody else's, right? Well, he kind of wasn't ready for any fight. Well, what's the answer? What's the actionable step of improvement? The realistic thing is there is none, okay? There is no actionable step of improvement here. So what the hell, what's going on here? If there's no actionable step of improvement, how do you learn? Well, that's exactly the whole point. That's why all of you guys are so cursed in the first place. That's why you're in this position where it's hard for you to get better. It's hard for you to rank up. It's like this with everything in life. You've made this mistake that shouldn't even have ever happened in the first place. That's one of the initial problems, and we're going to talk about that mindset. And I'm going to tell you how to fix that. But second, I want to talk to you guys about what all of these coaches would tell you. This is Ascendant Immortal. I think it's just Ascendant, actually. But I'm going to tell you what coaches would tell you here. You want to know what a coach is going to say? They're going to look into the specific round in the specific circumstance. They're going to say, your teammates have showers control. You cleared right. You need to just be looking lamps here, right? You just need to be looking lamps here. That is true. That's absolutely true. But how is that going to make you a better player? Right? Okay, well, you could take it a step further. You know what a good coach might tell you? A good coach might tell you, you know what? You just got to commit to an angle when you're entering. You've just got to commit to an angle, and that's how you can approach entering, right? You can't clear everything, right? You just need to hold the most likely angle and commit to it. That's what a good coach might tell you. But guys, again, why can't you guys rank up, though? You're being told this stuff all the time from all these different YouTubers and all these different streamers. Maybe you're a coach if you've gotten one. You're being told this stuff, but why can't you rank up, though? That's the question, though. Because I came to this game, and I went pro in my first year of playing the game. I didn't play a 5v5 FPS before. How did I go pro in a year? How's that even possible? There's no way I could have went pro with that slow method of improvement. It's not possible. Okay, so let's talk about what's actually happening here. Let's talk about the issue that you have, a lot of you guys in chat have, and let's talk about what you can do to fix it. So, the first thing is you need to understand what's going on here, okay? The reason why this VOD here, the reason why you guys came to 15 different conclusions, right? The reason why there's 15 different mistakes that you guys all pointed out, that are all over the place, and there's no real clear answer, right? And although you might be able to construct some sort of generalized answer, there's no real clear one. Let's take a look at this, what I made for you guys. So, as we can see, you don't really learn from the death. This person that we're in question, we don't learn from the death. And you have to generalize the errors in a non-actionable method of improvement, right? What does that mean? That means all of those errors, I predicted you guys. I knew you were going to say all those errors in chat. You've generalized them and they're non-actionable, right? How can you improve based on those errors, based off your deduction of what you did wrong? You can't improve them, right? And then what's going to happen because of this, you're going to find it very hard to review your own gameplay since so many deaths are vague and the mistakes aren't so obvious. And that's the situation that a lot of you guys are in. You probably watch your own VODs and you're like, oh, well, this, that, and the other. This is kind of wrong. This is kind of wrong. But, I don't really know. This is because you're person number 1, which is 99% of people. Guys, now let's talk about how you can be person number 2. This is where the good stuff starts. Okay. So, one little thing that I want to say before we get into that is, how do you become this person? Well, there is primary, secondary, there's tertiary reasons why this might happen. But tomorrow in tomorrow's free program, we're going to talk about how autopilot can be the disease, and this can be a symptom of autopilot. As we all understand, guys, autopilot can cause this, right? You can start to make these kind of autopilot actions that make your decision making all over the place, and they're hard to deduct improvement from. But that's not the only one. There's tons of different ways. No, my deaths are all due to luck. True. All right, guys. But one of the things you need to realize is it comes from the mindset of not playing the game in a way to improve, okay? You've got to change the way that you play this game. You've got to change from just playing to play the game every single day to playing in a way to improve. Well, how the hell do you do that? That's easy enough for you to say. Well, guys, you've got to break it down into smaller chunks, right? You've got to look at this through that lens, right? So when I say through that lens, I mean through the lens of, okay, how could I have played this round in a way to improve? And how can I add that to my gameplay in the future? That way, I can make more deductible mistakes. And the mistakes that I make, we can start to take action on them because, I can improve from it. Now, that's a lot of yapping. Let's look at it here, though. So what you would actually want to do here, right? You've cleared the right in this round. Now, at this point, this is purely instinctual. By the way, this is what separates the best duelists in the world. But this is purely instinctual now. You have got to take your best bet based on all of the information that you're currently processing. You might not even be processing that your teammates are facing showers right now, that they have the angle. Based on all of that, you've got to decide which angle should I hold. And you've got to commit to it, right? Which is similar to what we said earlier, but again, keep in mind we're looking through that lens. So instead, you're going to look hard left here, all right? You're just going to hard hold left and say, fuck it. If I die to the mid-sight smokes, then it happens, right? But here is how things are going to change. When you hard hold left here after you cleared the right side, let's say in this imaginary world that you still died. Let's say that you lost your gunfight or something like that. Guys, if we lost a gunfight here to this jet, guess what we could look at? We could look at your movement. We could look at your aim. We could look to see if your crosshair placement was lazy. We would find things that you're doing wrong, the reason why you lost that gunfight. Okay, that's one example. Guys, so as you can see, you can notice that, oh wait, that sounds pretty improvable. Those things that I just named, your aim being off, right? Your crosshair being off, those things, that's actually actionable stuff that you can improve on, right? Keep that, it's a big note that you need to keep down. But let's go through another hypothetical. Let's say that there's nobody here. Let's say that you hard hold left, there's nobody on the left, you walk forwards, and then you die through one of these mid-sight smokes, okay? Well then guess what? You can watch the VOD and say, okay, did I make the best decision to look left? Should I have done another form of entrying, right? Maybe, in this hypothetical, maybe your teammates got mollied, right? They didn't actually get mollied, but I'm just saying. Maybe your teammates get smoked off and mollied. And because of that happening, you should be more likely to look to the right. Now, we're getting deep into hypotheticals here. But the point is, what you're going to do is when you do something like hard commit to holding left, or hard committing to a certain read in a 1v1, you allow yourself to reflect on the VOD, reflect on the round that you played, and say, okay, I made X decision, okay, here's why it was good, or here's why it was bad, and here's how I can improve. But what all of you guys do is you don't hard commit to your reads, your vision of the round, like your predictions on what the enemy is doing, where they might be, what play you might want to make in a 1v1. You don't hard commit to those things. That's the problem. You're indecisive. The same way that this player's indecisive in where they want to look, you're indecisive in your overall gameplay. You're looking left, you're looking right, you're all over the place. You're doing nothing right now. You're staring at a wall right now. They can't be here, okay? It's the same thing when you guys play. You're kind of rotating. You're kind of going back. You're kind of wanting to 1-3-1 on your pistol rounds, but then sometimes you don't do it. But then sometimes you do 1-3-1, but then sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do this deep camera. But guys, that's the thing. You guys need to actually commit. You guys need to actually commit to your read, to whatever strategy you're trying to enact. If you're trying to, if you're going into a game and you're trying to say, you know what, I'm going to try getting deep information every single round. If we hop onto a Valor plant, right? And I got to hide my screen real quick so nobody joins my Valor plant and is weird. Because that happened. Let's look. Let's say, for example, you want to get deep information every single round, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to head on a split and we're going to cipher cam this every single round. Guess what? You are going to find out something. You are going to find out. Now that we do this every fucking round, we are going to decide, okay, was it good? Was it bad? When did it work? When didn't it work? Again, we could sit here and sit in hypotheticals all day, but you're going to start to realize that against certain teams, the deep camera's good. Against certain teams, the deep camera's bad. Guys, how do you think I learned when a deep camera is good or bad? And guys, for example, the answer is a deep camera is always going to be good against teams who are 5-manning. Teams that are more likely to 5-man hit a site and not default, deep cameras are good. If it gets broken, over-rotate. If it doesn't get broken, go the other way. Super simple. But what if they're defaulting? You don't want to give up your camera that early. See, if you play around where an enemy is defaulting and you deep camera and it gets broken, now you're a cipher with no information. And now you're on hard contact lines. What does that mean? That means you have to jiggle or spot for the contact. What happens? In pro play, you get T-side opt. You get caught off guard. Someone sees you as cipher and screens and they take a site and speed up off of that. Right? So you can learn this sort of stuff, but only if originally you committed to trying the deep camera. You had to try the deep camera in the first place to learn when it was good, to learn when it was bad. You had to do it. It's the same thing on a duelist. If you want to figure out how your jet entry pathing is good, should I be updraft dashing rafters? Should I be going lower? You'll never know until you do it and you just commit, 100% commit, and then you reflect and say, okay, due to X, Y, and Z, was this a good or bad play? And then now you can actually learn because you committed to it. But guys, the reason why it's hard for you to VOD review yourselves and it's hard for you guys to get better is because when you watch your VODs, look at what it looks like. Look at this. You're hesitant. You're not playing into your reads. You're not hard committing to where you think the enemies are. If I asked you, where do you think the enemies are right now? That's not even what's going through your head here. What's going through your head is you're not even thinking. You're just all over the place. Just commit. Commit to your read, okay? There was a 1v1 that I was in. Funny enough, I actually think I might be able to find it because I just showed it. I just showed it in a VOD, and I think it might like auto take me to that timestamp. So hold on, let's see if I can show this. But I think it should auto take me to the timestamp. Yeah, right here.
Does that work?
It was like,
It's you and me.
I don't know what round it was.
I have no idea, maybe. Possibly, potentially.
Hold on, guys. Give me a second. Oh, it's this round. It's literally this round. So watch.
30 seconds left.
Hold on. I gotta unplug my mouse and plug back in. Hold on, guys. My mouse is glitching.
What?
Okay. Here we go. So, let's look at me hard committing to a read here, guys. Let's look.
Bro, if I didn't jump, I actually would have killed his ass.
So here, you can see I one-way net.
I have 40.
Here. Make him 1 HP. Okay. I hear him. I see that lurk smoke. I tap. Okay. Right now, if you can see my POV, I'm like, I think I'm like clearing the lurk smoke or something. Or actually, I can see over it, right? And I didn't see him. So I'm like, okay, he's not here. So let's speed it up. So let's watch. But now look at where I'm at right now. I was just on the bomb site, but now, right? I clear my flank. Why? You guys might be asking why, okay? Well, there's a couple of reasons. I had a read that he was going to wrap. I had a read that the whole reason why he lurk smoked was because he wanted to wrap. I also knew that I felt as if, this is a little bit of a higher level thing, but I felt as if I cleared my flank, I could walk to the other bomb site and last second start running and plant the bomb, right? So I played into my read here and I won the round. But let's say, for example, that wasn't the case. Let's say that I was wrong. Let's say that I died and I was wrong. The thing is, though, guys, when you play into reads like this and you trust yourself, you're able to VOD review yourself and reflect on the round and actually learn from it because you committed to your idea, right? If I was to VOD review myself playing this round, I could say, oh, well, you know what? Based on the fact that I knew he was 1 HP, maybe I should have just planted the bomb and played a little bit more aggressive. Instead of gambling on some of these timings that I took in this round, maybe I should have played it more aggressive, right? If per se, let's say it went wrong or something. But you can see how my VOD looks different than yours. That's literally the reason why it's easier for me to improve than it is for you to improve. Seriously, that's one of the reasons. And there's people who are way better at it than me, by the way, right? I'm just using myself as an example. But that's the primary idea here, guys, is that if you get into that zone where you're playing to improve, and if you have a certain way that you want to use your flashes, or you have a certain way that you want to use your camera, or a certain way that you want to entry or take a gunfight, and you commit to that, you commit to maybe it's 2 bullet bursting, you commit to maybe taking a little bit more time to shoot, you commit to these methods, and then you give it some time, and then you actually reflect and say, hey, okay, this works, this doesn't work, etc., you're gonna improve. That's how you improve. But the problem is, like I said, you generalize those errors when you look at your VODs because you're not doing that. You don't learn from the death because, like I said, you don't commit to your ideas, right? Whereas person number 2, it's me in this case, or potentially somebody else who's better than me, right? You can immediately learn from the death, right? If I'm practicing, a Cypher deep camera and it gets broken instantly and I get ran down, I can immediately learn and start to set up protocols for, okay, maybe I need to pre-place a cage. Maybe I need a lower tripwire at round start to deny the fast rush against me when I place this deep camera. You can immediately learn. You start to think in layers, right? Layer 1, anti-rush. Layer 2, or Layer 1, quick information. Layer 2, anti-rush. Layer 3, anti-default. Layer 4, rotate. Right? You start to think in layers, and you start to structure your game in a way of full improvement. You're going to find mistakes that have actionable adjustments, right? That's what I was talking about, right? If you get caught off guard doing a deep camera on split, for example, like we said, if you do this deep camera, let's say from rafters, okay, and you get caught off guard, that's what I was talking about. Maybe you need a pre-placed cage and tripwire just to defend yourself from the rush so you can get back into the bomb site, right? So this is layer 1, is that information. Then you have layer 2, which is your adjustment because you died. You got shit on, right? So now you're going to adjust, say, hey, this is how I defend myself from that. And then it's like, okay, well, how do we take steps against a default? Well, maybe against a default, you pick up this tripwire, right? Maybe you pick up this tripwire and you go wrap and replace it ramp, and then your teammate can solo sight or something like that. You can start to think in these layers and start to actually fix your mistakes to become really good and knowledgeable about the game. This isn't just for Cypher. This is for every character. Do you guys understand that kind of thought process? It applies to every character. It applies to anything that you're trying to do. And then we can look here. And then you find it very easy to isolate errors in VODs and find actionable adjustments. Like I said before, this is just stuff we've already talked about, where you can isolate those errors. So, yes, guys. And then I want to talk about how you can kind of fall into this, though. A lot of you guys might be wondering, well, how do I get into that mindset where I'm not improving? Well, in my opinion, there's 3 ways that you guys have fallen into that, or you might fall into it, or why it might be a reoccurring thing. The first one is environmental. That might be the way that you set yourself up to play the game. That might be the way that your teammates talk to you in ranked. It might be the way that you view the game. But the whole point of what I mean by this is environmentally, you tend to shift to autopiloting and playing in a way that's not productive because of certain external factors. It might be work. One of the players, for example, that I coach, they work a lot, and that environmental factor can absolutely cause you to autopilot, right? There's tons of that. It might be playing with your friends. It might be people talking in Discord. Tons of stuff like that. Now, the next one could be biological or health-related. This could mean sleep. This could mean light exposure. This could mean caffeine intake. This could mean your diet. This could mean anything amongst those. It could also mean ADHD, obviously, and some sort of mental disorder. But what we want to learn from this is that tomorrow we're going to have a neuroscientist come in who's actually educated on this second part here, unlike me. And he's going to talk all about this in tomorrow's free coaching session, !free coaching. So if you want interested in that, you got to join it. That stuff will be live Sunday. Sorry, not tomorrow. But the third one is the boiling frog experiment. Okay? So, guys, the boiling frog experiment it's very easy to understand. It's something that I've commonly used in my streams because I'm a huge fan of this idea. I don't really care about the experiment. I'll be honest, I don't really know that much about it. But the mindset, I've seen it in my life, I've seen it in my teams, and I've seen it in so much all over the place in this world. Basically, the idea, and I might be misquoting it, but I don't care. This is why I'm not a scientist. Is that there's a frog that is in a room temperature cup of water. And frogs' nervous systems are not as sharp as ours. But what we did is we turned up the temperature of this water over weeks and weeks and weeks length of time. Slowly, incrementally, so slowly, the frog never even noticed. To the point where the frog was literally being boiled alive. and they didn't even notice that it was happening to them. Again, their nervous system might not be as strong as ours, but you can see that over time, the incremental change, they became adjusted to it. Their body, their nervous system became adjusted to it, and that was their new norm. As the temperature went from 70 degrees to 80 to 90 to 100, that was the new norm. They didn't even realize what was happening. Guys, this is what happens to you. You guys might start a certain way. It might be a day-by-day thing. You might start the day in a certain way, and then after you make certain actions or certain things happen to you, you start to become adjusted to not trying. You start to become adjusted to not caring. How many of you guys have started a game of ranked where you're really calming, and then something happens, by the end of the game, you're not even talking? Like, let's be honest. Something tilted you, or some sort of nuanced thing happened throughout the game, and over time, you became adjusted to being a little, like, robot, you know? This happens all the time, day to day. But guys, it happens to you month to month as well. It's so much harder to realize, though, is that month to month, as you started playing this game, you might have had a more open mind. But as you played months of Valorant, and you've had toxic teammates, and you've had bad experiences, what's happened is you've become accustomed to certain things. You've become accustomed to playing a ranked game and not criticizing yourself. You've become accustomed to playing a Valorant round and not looking at it analytically. You've become accustomed to blaming your teammates. Over time, these things, you can't notice them. It's not possible. You are not humanly, it's not possible for you to notice these things. That's what you need to understand. So don't try to sit here and think back to, oh, well, I don't know if that's true. It is true. You've become accustomed to so much stuff throughout life and throughout your time in Valorant. And you have to reorganize those things. You have to be aware that you became adjusted. And you kind of have to take steps to push yourself to forcefully say, hey, like, what was this death? In that moment, when you die in game, you got to be thinking, okay, well, why did I die? Bad movement, bad peak, right? What was it? Bad mindset? Was I not playing in a way to improve? Why can I not learn from this? Right? Or maybe I made a mistake, but I can learn from it. So that's an acceptable mistake. That's the way that I like to put it, guys. If you make a mistake, but you can learn from it, and you can, not a copium mistake, right? And if you can make a mistake that you learn from, that's a good mistake, right? But you've become accustomed to all of these things. That's why it's important for you to zoom out, okay? And put yourself in a position where, hey, I'm going to go into this game. I'm going to play in a way to improve, all right? I'm not going to overcomplicate my progress, because that's the worst thing you can do is overcomplicating it. It's very easy to get good at this game. I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear it, and a lot of people don't agree with me, but it is true. Okay? It's very easy to get good at this game. It's very easy to get good at anything in life. I don't care what anyone tells you. It's not easy to be the best fucking player on planet Earth. That's hard. But to get like Radiant, it's easy. Okay? So what ends up happening though is that you guys become accustomed to what your ranked teammates say. You become accustomed to not calling a strategy for your team. You become accustomed to it being normal to not communicate with each other in ranked. Guys, we can literally look at this exact VOD, and we can look earlier in this round. Let's look earlier here, okay? So, I think it was earlier. We'll have to see. So right here. So as you can see, we entry site, but then look what happens. My teammate dies showers, okay? My teammate dies showers, and right now you can see that the player that we're spectating, they have an instinctual response that they want to fight this person showers. Instinctually, they know that they need to kill this person. There's no threat on their left based on how the site exec went. There's no threat based on Raina's positioning. They know that they want to kill this person showers. But guess what? It has become normalized to not communicate that to your teammate. You have spent thousands of hours playing Valorant where you didn't communicate to your teammate there. And that's the thing. You might overlook this in a VOD. You've got to take a step out, zoom out, and hold yourself actually accountable. Here, you just got to say, hey, fight showers with me. It's so easy, man. It's so easy. All you have to do is say, hey, fight showers with me. And then you can go forward and make that actionable step of improvement where you can start to actually do that stuff together. Guys, I'm telling you right now, you've overlooked these things your entire Valorant careers. And that's why you find it harder to improve. Because you've become accustomed to these mistakes. You've become accustomed to being lazy. You've become accustomed to not holding yourself accountable. You've become accustomed to not communicating. You've become accustomed to not improving your own gameplay. You've become accustomed to, trying on certain rounds, not trying on others, etc. You've got to zoom out, hold yourself accountable, and actually play in a way to improve. And I promise you, you don't need any coaching, you don't need any advice, you don't need anything in this world other than that mindset, and you will improve. I'm telling you this right now. That's the same reason why if you guys take a month break and come back, sometimes you get that performance boost. That's why. But yes, guys, all of this sort of stuff is stuff that took me years to learn. I sat there and I VOD reviewed and I coached people for 2 years. That's all I did. I went from playing professionally, man. I went from grinding my heart out to become a professional in this game to instantly coaching and putting my passion into coaching and taking it serious. And I had to understand why some people learn and some people don't. I had to understand why one player has this issue, second player has this issue. How can I watch this VOD and help them? I struggled with it personally. I had to sit there and think critically. I'm like, you know what? All these TikTok coaches, they're telling me that, all I need to do is narrow my focus and grind, get out some reps, and I'll be good. Okay? How can I actually fix this person? What are they doing wrong? What is everybody missing? What is the difference between this person and my ex-teammates that went pro in 2 seconds? Right? What's the actual difference? I had to sit there. I had to think about it so much, and I had to take it so serious. I acted like I was a professional trying to get better at coaching. I had to take it so serious to learn this stuff. And I'm telling you guys, this sort of mindset that I'm telling you about, we're playing in a way to improve and looking through that lens and holding yourself accountable, zooming out and realizing what you've become accustomed to. Stop with all the social stigmas in ranked. Oh, you care too much about calming. You care too much about trying. Get away from those stigmas. I don't care. Fuck that. It doesn't matter. And I spent this time improving on that stuff, guys, and that's why I'm here to share it with you. And I'm going to be talking more about stuff like this and other improvement methods and things like that on my streams, my coaching channels. My Discord VIP is going to have a ton of really good stuff. But I wanted to make this stream because I think it was important for me to do it in a long form. I didn't really want to do it in a short form, and I struggle with recording stuff. I'm better live. So that's what I did, and I'm going to turn this into potentially a YouTube video in the future for potentially my VIP program in the future. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys coming here, and I hope that you guys were able to learn. Genuinely, I think this is some of the best advice you will ever receive in your entire life. If you guys want to join the free program, exclamation point free coaching, we're going to be talking about more of about this with neuroscientist Bailey Clemenson. In my free coaching program. Hope you guys were able to learn. Anyways, I'm going to end the stream, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys all for coming out.